Music. I have a feeling whenever I do something I feel happy. You see, this is you, try that. Whatever you may have knowledge, you have sometime better economy. You may have better sometime, you can have a kind words. You can have, so if you use and make somebody's life happy that you are giving, and his or her life is a happy, that's the best thing a human being can think of, that then you will get a conflict-free world. That's why I used to say, where there is righteousness in the heart, there's beauty in the character. Where there is beauty in the character, there is harmony in the home. Harmony in the home. Where there is harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there is order in the nation, there's peace in the world. Ultimate source of happy life is our inner value. So therefore, irrespective of whether believer or non-believer, whether believe religion or not, see, we should pay more attention about our inner value. Now scientists, according latest scientific findings, it now sort of clear even good health or healthy body. The healthy mind is very essential. More peaceful mind brings healthy body, because mind calm peaceful, then our our body sort of element. Also you see that remain more balanced, so that brings healthy body. And too much stress, too much worry disturb our body element, that creates certain sort of problems about this body. So therefore calm mind is very essential. I think you should realize the anger may bring some kind of energy, short moment, short period, but that energy is actually blind. Energy and anger really destroy part of your brain, which can touch the now I'm right or wrong. So when we fully sort develop anger, we can't see the reality, so that energy more bold, but that energy is blinded by energy. So in order to face the problem, our method should be, as I mentioned earlier, realistic. In order to carry realistic method, you must know the reality. When we look the reality, when we investigate the reality, our mind should be calm, otherwise we cannot see the thing objectively. So in order to use human intelligence properly, our mind should be calm. So thinking this like anger, you see, firstly destroy your inner peace. Secondly, destroy your ability to investigate the reality. It's so, you think this line, then, once you have clear as of awareness, anger is no use, only destruction. We are social animal, we human being, social animal, and particularly modern time, the reality, economy, environment, and many things heavily interdependent. That's the reality. Unlike I think past as the ancient time moral, independent, self-sufficient. This say not depend your interest, not your interest or your future, not depend on other, not complete change. So even from this selfish viewpoint, you have to take care about others' well-being. You just think to yourself, the blind selfish think to yourself, forget other, or worse thing, exploit other, cheating other, bully other. Ultimately you suffer through this mischievous way. You may gain some temporary sort of benefit, but in deep insight you feel uncomfortable. Then eventually you truly become lonely person. Nobody loves you, nobody respect you. If you take care other, as a human, brothers, sisters, sincerely, seriously, then everybody become your friend. So when you have truly trusted friend, there if you need something you can ask them. If you becoming friendless or lonely person, and when you really facing some problems, nobody you can share. So Lene, we are social animal, so even other animal, no law, no education, no religion, but you see they have some kind of sort of feeling their own individual survive and depend on rest of the community, or hers, so they work together. I one of the individual out of 7 billion human being. If human being, rest of the human being happy, peaceful, I get maximum benefit. The rest of the world, their trouble, how can I escape from that? And with that feeling, when I meet people or one people or one person or 10 people, 100,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, I always consider them as my brothers, sisters. That brings me in a mental level completely relax. If I feel I'm something different from them, then some nervousness, some anxiety may develop. So once your own way of thinking open and reach out them as a close friend, that tremendous sort of benefit is your mind. Then others also feel no longer, feel stranger, on other human brothers like that. So that I think we really nowadays we really need that. So through that way awareness, then from children, I think youngsters, I think they just one child, remain lonely, may cry and play with other children, feel very happy. So that's a human nature. So sometimes we grown up, then we always calculate, if I make friendship with that, how much I get some benefit, or make friendship then I can exploit or something. Then genuine basis, friendship no longer their destroyed basis of genuine friendship is trust, depend on openness. So through these things we can train, and then mental level, no matter what your physical level, busy but mental level, always calm, restful, relaxed, immense benefit for your health. So mental health, very close link. So the ultimate source of mental health is warm-heartedness. That's my belief. Maybe wrong, my friend. Have to research more research work. Then I think the best method to avoid fear or regret at the time of death is while we are alive. Our time, our energy must utilize meaningful ways serving other. That's the most profound is of way of usefulness. 1. All survival, even animals also is can do, but for service to others is something unique about human being. I think a mother and child or offspring the bond between mother, or even other animals also have, but they're so kind of close feeling short period, but we human being because of intelligence that kind of feeling we can prolong whole our life. It's extended through our life. So serving other people, helping other people is, I think, very, very appropriate sort of action. According our intelligence, right, or ability, we have such ability, so they utilize that ability in the most appropriate way. Most appropriate way is serving other people, then at the end you feel no regret. I done my best, some useful sort of meaningful life, now and come, although sorry said but no regret. Seeing how actively you pursue a mattering purpose, I wonder if any of that is tied up into getting to the other side of anxiety and depression. Yeah, that's yeah, we haven't even got to the depression part, but my personal faith, a member of the Baha'i faith, has definitely inspired this idea that we rise to our maximum potential when we are of service to others, and not only our maximum potential but our greatest usefulness, and living in that potential and usefulness gives us the most kind of rich human satisfaction. And I know for me, because I spent a long time when I first started getting famous, points in time just trying to satisfy myself and my ego, and I was miserable. In fact, they do studies on happiness, and this is part of mental health. I'm sure you've had some happiness experts on, but there's so many books about it, and the whole field of positive psychology is a really exciting field that just started in the 90s. And when I was going to college, there was no such field as positive psychology. Now there's thousands of books about it, and they're really exciting. But one of the things that is 100% true in positive psychology is irrefutable, that one of the worst ways to achieve happiness, contentment, whatever you want to call it, is through materialism. And yet we live in a culture that tells you over and over and over again, if you get this car, if you get this amount of money, if you have this amount of success, this amount of fame, this amount of a promotion, then you will be happy. You will achieve happiness once you get to that certain level. And yet the pursuit of like, I need to make 100 fixed and a year to be happy, or I need to own the new Tesla to be happy, or once I get this kind of girlfriend, spouse or whatever, then I'll be happy. The pursuit of kind of a materialistic view of happiness has an inverse effect. It decreases your happiness. It makes you less healthy. You can do, again, I don't have the exact specifics on the tip of my tongue. It's a simple Google search and convert happiness, contentment, self, in enrichment. I always talk about eudaimonia. You've probably heard about that and talked about that before. I think we spoke about it before, the idea that the ancient Greeks had a word for happiness called eudaimonia, which is human flourishing. And I love that umbrella concept, like what creates the largest human flourishing. Let's focus on that. Forget happiness, human flourishing, but from the big faith, from the study of positive psychology, helping others, being of service, maximizing how much you matter actually is the #1 cause of human flourishing. So when I kind of get into my I'm not acting as much as I should be, or people only know me as Dwight, or I'll never have a career again, or I need X show to make X amount of money so that I can go on X vacation, or something. When I get into that whole stuff, which, that comes and goes every week, it's kind of like, how can I be of service? How can I help people? How can I take the skills that God has given me, that nature has given me, and put those to their best possible use? So I let that be, I try, and let that be a guiding light in my life. What's the best guidance for finding spirituality now? This is a question that people ask all the time, and it's actually not the kind of question that typically you find people who are, 12 or 13 years old asking. This is like kind of a 42 or 43-old person's question, or even older than that. It's funny because we leave behind our childish things and we realize that things that perhaps earlier in adulthood we thought were childish aren't, and we have these ERS, and we don't know actually where to turn. So the answer to this is basically, it really comes from something that I learned from the Dalai Lama, His Holiness. The Dalai Lama, the leader of Tibetan Buddhism. I'm not a Buddhist, I'm a Christian, but it's very wise what he talked about. Think about the search for spiritual truths in 3 parts. #1, do the work to figure out what you believe ethically about life. What are your beliefs? What are your beliefs about what it means to be a good person? This is important, because you actually can't find your spiritual self when you're living out of sync with your moral self. So figure out what that is, write it down,
Make a list of your actual beliefs about what a good person does and then ask yourself, am I living according to that? Do the work on actually doing that self-examination. That's number one. Number two, start a meditative practice. I don't mean meditate necessarily as a Christian. I pray every day. That's a meditative practice. Maybe you're somebody who likes to walk in nature before dawn for an hour, without devices. That's your meditative practice. Maybe it is meditation, but you need something that's contemplative in your life. What is it? Start doing it. Start easy. 5 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day. You don't have to do 3 hours a day. Do something that focuses you in a contemplative way. And last but not least, you need to read. You need to read more. There's so much great stuff out there that we're just passing up by scrolling our Instagram feeds, by wasting our time, by frittering away our attention. Take 15 minutes a day, and by the way, you're going to get so stuck on this that 15 minutes is not going to be enough. After a while, let's start with 15 minutes today and have a stack of things you've always wanted to read about, the deeper varieties of life. What are the truths you've always wanted to know about? What are the books that you always wanted to read? Maybe it's a novel that really has deep moral truths, like The Brothers Karamazov of Fyodor Dostoevsky. Maybe it's The Miracle of Mindfulness by Thich Nhat Hanh. Maybe it's the Bee, but just read 15 minutes a day of something like this. If you do those three things, examine your beliefs, write them down, start a contemplative practice, and read the books that you know are gonna bring you deeper, your life is gonna start changing, and you're not gonna have to look anymore, because it's gonna start to appear before you, your spiritual truths. The life that you know, when you're looking in a mirror, there's kind of two people there. There's the observer, and there's the observed. Understanding this is critically important to your happiness. It's not just a little fact that is kind of interesting. No. One of the biggest problems that we have is that we both, is and me. You need to observe the world, so that you can survive and thrive, but you need the me self, so that you have an understanding of who you are in your place in society and in the world. You got to have a self-concept. Well, the big problem is not that we can break ourselves into a me self, that you're looking at your image in the mirror and you're being observed. The problem is that we overweight the me self, that we observe too much. There's too much consideration in our lives about people seeing us and what we think about other people think about us. You get my point, don't you? This is made all the worse with social media and all the modern communication techniques in which it's easy to look at your notifications. It's like a big mirror in front of you, all the time. What do you need? What do I need? What do we all need? More I-self, more observation to take in the world without judgment. Now what do I say? Do we need more of that? Well, to begin with, I'd be probably a better person if it weren't all me-self. But more to the point, for how to build a life my call in the Atlantic, you'll be happier if you do. There's a lot of research that shows that when you're observing something at some remove, that your happiness rises and your anxiety falls, in contrast to when it's all me-self. When you're the one who's observed, your emotions yo-yo around all over the place, on depending on whether or not you have a perception that the me-self is positive or the me-self is negative. You're being managed by the me-self. You manage the I-self. Do you want to be in control? Well, the question is, how are you going to do that? How are you going to be more observer and less observed? Well, there are a few ways to think about this. Number one, get mirrors out your life. I'm not asking you to toss out all your mirrors. Put them out by the curb on garbage day. You need something. For me, well, I was going to say to shave, and obviously I'm not worried too much about that, but we want to actually be able to look in the mirror from time to time. The problem is, literally or metaphorically, there are too many mirrors in our lives. What I literally recommend is getting rid of all but maybe 2 or 3 mirrors in your whole house. Something else you can do is get rid of the metaphors for the mirrors, like on social media, turning off notifications make it harder to see your reflection or your virtual reflection. All human good qualities concerned, we all have the same, so I always make stress in order to achieve happy life. There is no point to neglect about our inner good qualities, such as human affection, sense of concerns of care, and sense of community, and sense of responsible as a part of the community. And then I feel the sense of affection that's, I think, foundation of all other good qualities. So the affection, actually, biologically speaking, the affection is something, I think, the foundation to survive our life. So often is telling people, for example, my own case, first teacher of compassion to me, my mother. As soon as I born my mother, take fullest care, and I survived to my mother's milk. I think this birthday, I think today now 71-year-old, this actually I think built on the mother's care, mother's milk, and I still feel the impact deep in my mind from mother's affection. I think still remain there. So sometimes we forget that, and sometimes we take for granted. So I think that's Mistake we should not neglect, that we should not forget, that we must make effort to sustain these values. In values, then your life will be more happier once your honest attitude towards other, more affectionate, more warm-heartedness and respect and friendly sort of attitude than others. Response all similar, usually sometimes not so, therefore the friendly atmosphere must create by ourself. I think it illogical ourself, remain self, extreme self-centered, selfish and don't care about other. Me time want friendly atmosphere, this is illogical. Wealth important, but friendship more important. You may be poor, but surrounding warded people feel very happy, even on the bed of hospital very pain sick, but surrounded by loving people and those doctors, nurses with more smile, you feel very happy, much happier. Or some cases you see doctors or nurses treat you as in machine, without my smile, or then sometimes feel a little worry or anxiety. So the friendly atmosphere is very, very important. So during study school age, I think from the day of birth until the last day death, I think human affection is the key thing for meaningful life, for happy life. So should not consider the compassion or affection as something religious subject or religious matter. Usually if many people get the impression compassion, forgiveness, so love, loving kindness, these things consider as religious subject. Therefore those people who have no interest about religion, no faith, religion, and they also negative on these things, that's Mr. I find that if you're doing the work to learn to love yourself, that process and that skill helps you learn to love someone else. Let me give an example. Like if I'm learning to love myself, it means I have to get to know my dark side. It means I have to get to know my flaw. It means I have to get to know parts of myself that make me feel uncomfortable. Now if I recognize that I have that in me, now when I meet someone else, I'm not surprised when they have it in them because I've already seen it in myself. And I think often if we think, oh, like I'm gonna meet someone and they're not gonna have any issues or they're not gonna have any challenges, it's partly because we haven't necessarily worked through our own. And so I think if your trauma is more visible to you, if your pain and your stress of the past is more visible to you, you're actually better at being compassionate to someone else. As you can see, it's something that connects us. We're living a world of trying to project our version of a perfect partner onto our partner, and we're trying to mold them and curate them and build them up to be this person that we think will make us happy. And what we don't realize is that fake version we have won't make us happy, and us trying to mold them not gonna make them happy, and you actually push someone away. So I actually feel like if anyone ever feels like someone's trying to change them, you potentially push them away because they feel threatened, they feel scared, they feel not good enough. And so you're actually creating unworthy feels in your partner by saying you could be this or should be this. And I think we have this, I break it down in the book as being the difference between relationship roles we play. So I talk about how there's 3 relationship roles that everyone plays, and everyone who's listening or watching you, which one you are. So the first is the fixer. Some of us get our self-worth from fixing other people's problems. We don't fix our own. We're not working on our own, but we feel better when we find a partner that feels like a project. We feel, oh, I'll teach them and I'll build them up and I'll make them wear nice clothes and I'll make sure he or she gets the nice job or they break through in their career, because we get our self-worth through thinking we can fix other people. It's really warped to that degree, but we play that role, and often when we play that role we tire our partner out because we feel unworthy or we feel upset at ourselves, and then because they didn't take our advice, so then we end up saying things like, well, I put so much effort into you and you don't want to be better, and we think it's their fault that they haven't grown, but they never showed you they wanted to grow. So you're the fixer. I just want you to be really conscious about that role and say, okay, I've tried to fix people, it doesn't work. Let me use that energy to serve myself, to find my own self-worth in a different direction, and now let me approach this relationship differently. The second role we play is dependent. So the fix is like a parent, the dependent is like a kid. You walk in and you hope that your partner's just gonna take care of you, they're gonna cradle you, they're gonna embrace you, they're gonna take all your problems away, right? We want a problem solver, we want a fixer, and walk in, we go fix all my issues, you're in charge, you're the best. A few years later, sometimes it's decades later, that person goes, I lost myself in the relationship, not realizing that they didn't know who they were in the first place. They let the other person take the lead, and now that person's... So even when you're the dependent and then you start feeling, why you always telling me what to do? Oh God, right? Because then he goes, why you always telling me what to do? But we set them up to play that role. So let's take the responsibility and become supporters. The supporter says, I'm gonna help you become who you want to be, and you're gonna help me become who I want to be. Because support is not about me projecting my goals onto you. Support is about me helping you get to where you want to go, and that is the healthiest role to play in a relationship.